exercise strategies. So, tennis elbow or lateral epicondylitis, as it is called in the medical terminology, it can be a real setback for active executive mums. And this condition is characterized by pain in the outer part of the elbow. And it often arises not just because of sports like tennis, but also from any repetitive injuries or repetitive patterns of activities that you're doing, like gripping something, like typing, even carrying heavy bags, or your children, right? So these can all, or any other routine parenting activities, can lead to tennis elbow or pain in the outer part of the elbow. Now, of course, the pain is not always restricted to the outer elbow, but it comes down into the forearm and into the fingers as well. So, if you have tennis elbow, it can stop you right in your tracks. It can be quite bothersome. It can have this niggling or nagging pain in the background, even if you don't have active full blown tennis elbow. So, today in this video, let's talk about 5 tips that will help you with relief from tennis elbow when you are getting back into your exercises. Now, just to point it out, it is with tennis elbow, the old school of thought was that once the tennis elbow problem goes away, for example, the pain, the swelling, the inflammation is completely down to zero, then we start off with some exercises for strengthening. However, for those of us, especially for those of us who are into regular workouts or doing some kind of exercise, be it yoga, be it any kind of exercise which involves your arms and of course your elbow and your fingers and wrist, you need to know that it is not necessary for you to completely get over tennis elbow and then start the exercise. The newer thinking, well, it's been around for quite some time now, but the newish thinking now is that when the active inflammation in your tennis elbow subsides, that is the time you start to gradually introduce exercises, starting, of course, with the simpler ones, like more rehab kind of exercise where you are just doing movements, stretches, and then gradually moving on to strengthening and then loading the muscles gradually, etc. So you sort of go through this set of exercises, and let's talk about some tips that will help you with these exercises once you're getting back into either your exercise routine or even you are upping or you are taking your rehab exercises to the next level. All right, so the very first thing, and if you heard me talk for more than 5 minutes ever, I do talk about this a lot, and I will tell you why it's relevant here, is be mindful of your posture. Now, if you talk about posture, most of the people think we're talking about just the spine, but I'm also talking about the position of your wrist joint. So, for example, if I am, say, holding my, say I'm holding my phone. Okay, so I can't show you my phone because I'm recording the video on this. But for example, imagine I'm holding a phone in my hand. Now, do you see the angle of the wrist here? So it is bent backwards. So you want the wrist to be in a straight line here whenever you are holding something. So you do not want your wrist to be in a bent up or down position, or you, if you're, say, holding your mouse, you don't want it bent towards the left or towards the right. So you want the wrist to be neutral. So if you draw a line from the middle of your forearm, it should roughly be along the line of your middle finger, and so your wrist is not going left or right. And if you look at it from the side, this should be in a straight line. So your little finger to the mid of your forearm here, and you should not be up or down. Sometimes when you're using the mouse, it is a natural response for you to keep your wrist in this extended position. You could use an ergonomic mouse, or you could use a wrist pad. The ones that I use, I will leave a link to them in the blog that I've written on the same topic, and I'll leave the link to the blog in the description of this video. Another thing you could do is a home hack is take a face towel, roll it up, and put it under your wrist here. So basically, it's going to support your wrist so that it doesn't have to be in an extended position when you're holding the mouse. Try it out, it's quite simple. However, for the long term and for office use, you can get a wrist support or an ergonomic mouse. Now, I did say we are talking more about the wrist. However, also make sure that your forearms are resting on your table. So basically this part of your forearm is resting on the table, and you're not like too far off and then you're straining your hands forwards in order to put your I mean, whatever, if you're just typing or doing any activity at the table. And of course, with the neck, now there are many nerves that are exiting your cervical spine, and these go and supply your arm, forearm, and wrist and fingers. So if your neck is in a poor posture, like if you have it bent down, or if you have it like poked out forward, so I'll show you sideways, if you are like poking your chin out like this, especially when you're looking at a screen and you're poking your chin out like this, there is a lot of stress on those nerves, and they can give rise to nerve pain that is going down into your arm and forearm. And then this is an additional problem on top of your tennis elbow. So you want to watch your posture, not just at the neck, but at the wrist and at the forearm level as well. Okay, moving on. Now, use a tennis elbow brace, especially when you're just starting off with the exercises, because tennis elbow brace are basically meant to support those muscles, are supposed to give them a bit of a, like a hold onto that muscles there. So when you have that additional support, of course your muscles are able to function better. So if you are looking for more details on which brace you should wear, or which I mean, what are the additional tips to get the maximum use out of your tennis elbow brace, again, I have left all those details in the blog, which will, the details of the blog will be in the description. Another thing is, when we do exercises for your tennis elbow, or even if you're going back to work out in the gym, please make sure that you're not just focusing on your forearm and your elbow, or the wrist extensors, the usual wrist curls and all that. Of course you're going to do for rehab or for rehabilitating your tennis elbow problem, or your your elbow and wrist and forearm. Also focus on the extensor chain. Now what that means is basically work on your triceps, your shoulder blade, and your neck muscles. Sort out those muscle imbalances, whether you're looking at stretching, strengthening, or further work on those muscles, because especially when you have a chronic tennis elbow problem, or you've had it for a little while, it is possible that these muscles are also going to need some TLC, or need some strengthening or stretching, or whatever needs to be done with these muscles. So make sure that you are including them into your exercise regimen. Now, another thing is, please do not rush into your recovery. This is especially true for those of us who are gym or exercise enthusiasts, because sometimes when the pain goes down, the inflammation goes down, we tend to rush into exercises. Take it slow and easy. Start with some low impact activities. I'm not talking about just stretches, but about the next stage, that is the strengthening. Start with some low impact exercises, and then gradually increase your intensity of the exercise as your pain allows. Now, if your symptoms worsen, it is wise to pause and restrict yourself to, suppose you are at this level of exercises, you want to come down. So basically you're either decreasing the intensity of the exercise, the number of repetitions, or the time that you spend doing that exercise. So it's frequency, intensity, or time. This is the fit principle that is used widely in the fitness industry. So you do not decrease all the three parameters or increase all the three parameters at any given point of time. You work with either of the three parameters, that is frequency, intensity, and the time spent on the exercise, so that you know that what is the factor that increases your pain, and then you can gradually work on increasing that factor gradually. Okay, I use gradually twice, well, slowly. So for example, if I'm doing, say, strengthening work for my triceps, and I'm doing 3 sets of 10 repetitions, I feel that this is aggravating my pain. So what I'm going to do is, either I'm going to reduce that number of repetitions, which is 10. So I'm still going to do 3 sets, but I'll probably do 8 repetitions, or I will decrease the number of sets, that is 2 sets of 10 each. So basically, you're not playing around with all the parameters at one time, but one at a time. If this is confusing, just feel free to message me or comment below the video, and I'll specify it more for you. All right, so the last tip, but the most useful one, is if the exercise aggravates your pain and to be honest, even if it doesn't, especially when you're starting out or you have started a new exercise, or you feel the strain or that nagging pain, but it's not a full blown pain of your tennis elbow from these exercises, use a cold pack. It's the easiest thing to do. However, it is very effective. Cold will ease the inflammation in the body. Now, when you apply cold to an area, what happens is your blood vessels, they are like rubber pipes. So when you apply cold to a rubber pipe, it will shrink. So these blood vessels, they tend to undergo constriction, which is called vasoconstriction. But anyway, so basically they constrict in size. It's a very minimal constriction, but they because of the reduction in that blood supply to the area, the body is able to wash out the inflammation, the swelling in the area before the fresh flow of blood comes in, which is happening during the exercise. So that is how, well, in very simple terms, of course, there's more involved in this. In very simple terms, that's how your body will ease off the inflammation when you apply a cold pack. I hope these tips were useful. If you're looking for more tips, and of course more the link to the cold packs that I recommend, or the tennis elbow brace that I have used for my tennis elbow and I recommend to you, I will leave a link in the description of this video that goes to a blog on the same topic. It has more tips and all these that I spoke about, and you can have a look there. And if any questions, any comments, do leave them below, and I will be happy to help you. Alrighty, I'll see you guys next time. Bye for now.